Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Debs, and I'm a paralegal, and I like to talk about legal stuff and hopefully make it entertaining or educational in some way. And today I want to review the legal paperwork of Rachel Leviss. She's suing Thomas Sandoval and Ariana Madix. They're from the TV show Vanderpump Rules. Raquel is no longer on there anymore. I'm sure you probably have seen what happened in that situation. It was like all over everywhere, but essentially Thomas, or let's just call him Sandoval, Tom Sandoval, and Ariana, they were dating. They first started dating actually on the show Vanderpump Rules, and they had been dating for like 9, almost 10 years. And Raquel Leviss, she had been on the show for, I think, about 5 years at that point. She first started on the show dating another cast member. I can't remember his name, whatever, it's unimportant. She first started off dating him. A few years in, they broke up, and then she kind of still stuck around. If anything, she was even more ingratiated on her own than she was dating him. And went from becoming like a side character, like, well, they kind of call it like a friend of, but or girlfriend of, same shit. But then she became like a main character at that point. And it turned out that for at least 7 months, if not, who knows, maybe even longer, but they admitted to, for 7 months, hooking up or having an affair, despite becoming like a best friend to Ariana. And it was pretty much documented as it went on. People were pretty like disgusted, and they sided with Ariana, of course. So essentially what this lawsuit is about is, okay, so the way that Ariana found out about the affair was, I could be wrong here or there, but the general idea is that she was at one of Tom Sandoval's show. He's part of a band or whatever, and I guess Sandoval had dropped his phone, and someone went to Ariana and passed it to her, and I guess for whatever reason she felt like compelled to check it. She knew his passcode or whatever, so she went into the bathroom stall to review it, and she found a video of Raquel masturbating. So apparently she's, I believe, sent it to herself on her phone, and I could be wrong, but I believe it's like once she had it on her phone, she forwarded that video to Raquel, probably as a means of like a proof of some kind. And then I guess Raquel on some way ended up admitting to it, and Raquel says that it was a FaceTime that she had with Sandoval. She didn't know that it was I'm sure when we review she'll get into it, but I guess the gist of it is Raquel is accusing Ariana of revenge porn, and I think distributing it. Ariana says that was the only instance, and then she deleted something along. But I guess, yeah, I just wanted to give a brief backstory in case you didn't know. But yeah, let's review the paper together. So this is the filing from Raquel against Sandoval and Ariana Madix. It says, plaintiff Rachel Leviss, by and through her counsel, complains against defendants Thomas Sandoval, Ariana Madix as follows. It says, plaintiff Rachel Leviss, Raquel is so much easier, because is a former cast member on Vanderpump Rules, a reality TV show produced by Evolution Media and broadcast by Bravo Media, blah blah blah. This case arises from a scandal of epic proportions starting in March 2023, stemming from an affair between Leviss and another cast member, Tom Sandoval. Scandoval, as it came to be known, went instantly viral and was the subject of extraordinary press coverage, even in the mainstream media. Scandoval injected new life into a previously faltering series, causing its viewership to explode to unseen levels and making its cast members mega celebrities. Well, maybe one, but I wouldn't say all of them. Due to a narrative deliberately fermented by Bravo Evolution and the cast, Leviss became an object of public scorn and ridicule. Girl, I don't know, but like, side note, like, if I was on a reality show, and that's typically like what reality shows do. I think I would be a little bit more careful to do something like that, like a 9-year relationship, your best friend. I mean, it comes with the territory. If you didn't think that they would do that if you got busted, I'm sorry, you're just an idiot. Sorry. I mean, that's the nature of reality TV shows, so. Anyways, back to the rest. Okay, to be clear, Leviss has repeatedly acknowledged that her actions were morally objectionable and hurtful to Madix. She has offered numerous apologies. There is more to the story, however. Lost in the mix was that Leviss was a victim of the predatory and dishonest behavior of an older man who recorded sexually explicit videos of her without her knowledge or consent, which were then distributed, disseminated, and discussed publicly by a scorned woman seeking vengeance, catalyzing the scandal. Okay, side note, if she did distribute or share it or like show other people, I think that would be an issue. But I don't think that it would be an issue of her like talking about the fact that she like caught that happening. You know what I mean? I don't think anyway. Like, that's just her sharing her story, and it's not like it's defamation if it is in fact true. But that's my opinion. Anyways, carrying on. Leviss ultimately checked herself into a mental health facility and remained there for 3 months, while Bravo, Evolution, and the cast milked the interest her excoriation had peaked. Excoriation, that's a new one. Okay. To make matters worse, Leviss was misled by Bravo and Evolution into believing that she was contractually barred from speaking out about her mistreatment. As a result, she suffered in silence as of course, okay, side note, if, of course, revenge porn is wrong, I totally believe that. If her video was shared without her consent, and that is in fact true, that is 100% wrong. However, I do think that backlash or people being upset, I mean, it's like the consequence of your actions. I mean, what did you think it was a 9-year relationship. You didn't think that people would be upset? And also, you were like her best friend. I don't know. It's like, I mean, yeah, it must suck that people were so angry at you, but what did you think would happen? I don't know. Anyways, I guess it just doesn't seem like she's taking accountability still. Anyways, back to it. As Bravo and Evolution watched viewership explode, and the rest of the cast enjoyed unseen levels of public recognition and professional opportunity. Meanwhile, Leviss, who was humiliated and villainized for public consumption, remains a shell of her former self, with her career prospects stunted and her reputation in tatters. Girl, if it's not the consequences of your actions. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched the show, but I watched the show, and how can you just, like, for 7 months, if not maybe even longer, just be around the whole friend group, that's your best friend, hugging, like, oh, I love you so much, da, 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 da. Meanwhile, you're banging your best friend's 9-year boyfriend, like, they own a house together, like, you're banging him behind her back. I mean, no wonder your reputation that's really messed up. If it would be one thing if, you were just, like, another woman that, like, she didn't know or whatever, but the fact that you were best friends and you were so close and you were part of the same friend group, that makes it much, much worse. And also poor her, because it's like she not only lost her boyfriend of 9 years, but she also lost someone that she thought was her best friend. That's gonna fuck you up with your trust. I don't know. And, sorry. I just don't like when it's always the side chicks that have, like, oh, I'm the victim. Anyways, let's carry on. Having taken the time necessary to heal mentally and emotionally, Leviss brings this action at long last to attain a measure of justice that has so far eluded her. Plaintiff Raquel Leviss is, and at all relevant times was, an individual residing in the county of Los Angeles, state of California, and she's a former cast member on Vanderpump Rules. Tom Sandoval lives in Los Angeles, and he's a cast member on Vanderpump Rules. Defendant Ariana Madix resides in Los Angeles, California, and she is a member on Vanderpump Rules. Okay. Yada yada yada. Not really relevant. Okay. Jurisdiction. We don't care about that. Okay. General allegations. Hostile and unsafe working environment on Vanderpump Rules. So this case centers on Vanderpump Rules, a reality TV series premiered on Bravo in 2013, which revolves around the staff at Lisa Vanderpump's restaurants in West Hollywood, Sir Restaurant and Lounge, Pump Restaurant, and Tom Tom Restaurant and Bar. Vanderpump, a British restaurateur and former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast member, is the central figure of the series, which focuses on her employees' drama-filled personal and professional lives. Show has aired continuously for over a decade, and its 11th season premiered on January 30th, 2024. And Leviss was a cast member from 2016 to 2023. Leviss made her first appearance on the show as the girlfriend of cast member James Kennedy, a DJ prone to violent outbursts and grappling with long-standing substance abuse issues and emotional dysregulation. Kennedy would regularly berate Leviss, falsely accuse her of cheating, and act in a generally unhinged manner. Some of this was captured on camera, some of it was not. What does this have to... I don't know. Anyways, Leviss eventually warned Kennedy that she would leave him if he did not stop drinking. However, she soon learned that his despicable behavior was not solely a function of alcohol abuse. Okay. At Thanksgiving with Leviss's family in Arizona, Kennedy erupted at Leviss's mother and father and kicked her family dog 4 times in uncontrollable rage. Oh, that sounds rough. I hope that, because side note, because she said that he did that in front of, all these people, I hope that, or she should have made them, sign affidavits to confirm that or to prove that, because you don't necessarily have to file it at the same time, but she should have them, do an affidavit to confirm or prove that if they saw it in front of them to kind of corroborate what she's saying. Anyways, in 2021, Leviss ended their relationship and broke off their engagement. Kennedy's history of violent and dangerous behavior was well known by Bravo, Evolution, and the cast. Kennedy once physically assaulted then cast member Kristen Doty on camera. The footage, however, never aired. They did air the one where she hit him, though. I'm sorry, I'm a Kristen Doty stan for life. I love her. Yeah, she's the best. Anyway, nor has Kennedy faced any repercussions for his actions which would otherwise be fireable at a minimum, due in part to the intervention of his powerful ally, Lisa Vanderpump, who has served as his protector. To be honest, I feel like those are the kind of people that and obviously, if you knew them in real life, you'd be like, holy fuck, get the fuck away from me. But for TV, it's entertaining as fuck. So, of course, unless you cross a certain boundary, cancel, for example, Dowdy and other, they got removed, or Stassi Schroeder, they got removed from the show for racist tweets or something like that. But other than that, I feel like those are the people that they would not remove. Look at Teresa Giudice on Real Housewives of New Jersey. She's been around since the beginning. Why? Because she's entertaining as fuck. Anyways, carrying on. In 2021, after 3 seasons as a recurring character, Leviss was cast as a lead. At the same time, however, Leviss was in a vulnerable state due to the breakdown of her engagement with Kennedy, which was catalyzed by his chronic substance abuse, emotional instability, and controlling behavior. While she had previously moderated her alcohol intake because of Kennedy's heavy drinking, Leviss began drinking much more heavily in the aftermath of their breakup. Leviss was encouraged to do so by production and Sandoval, who believed it would make for better television and readily provided alcohol for her consumption. By season 10, Kennedy had resumed drinking again and picked up a new girlfriend weeks after his breakup with Leviss. All of this caused untold harm to Leviss's mental health, inducing her to drink more and leaving her vulnerable to what followed. Leviss began confiding in Tom Sandoval, a former bartender at SUR and a cast member since the show's first season, and he had been in a relationship with another cast member, Ariana Madix, since 2014. Imbibed and emotionally raw, Leviss began to rely heavily on Sandoval for emotional support. Sandoval, in turn, began confiding in Leviss about the dire state of his relationship, describing it as a business partnership and casting its end as foregone. Notwithstanding, Madix and Sandoval had been living together in Valley Village, Los Angeles. On or about August 10th, 2022, Leviss and Sandoval began sleeping together. The affair continued apace as Sandoval's relationship with Madix further deteriorated. Gee, I wonder why. Although purportedly secret, the affair was, in fact, well known to many cast members and suspected by others. Leviss and Sandoval were not particularly discreet. Leviss is informed and believes, and on such information and belief alleges, that Madix knew about it as early as the fall of 2022. So she says here it starts August, and she said as early as the fall of 2022. And she, just didn't say anything? She just continued to film as your best friend? Unless, who knows, maybe she, you never know. Maybe she was playing the long game, because she has like a degree in theater or something like that. So who knows, maybe she was setting it up to bust you towards the end, or who knows. But I just find it, she must be a really good actress if she knew, and she was just being a really good friend to you this whole time. But anyways, let's carry on. Indeed, in December of 2022, Madix scolded Leviss and Sandoval for being handsy in public, admonishing them to save the story for season 11. Okay. So Leviss is informed and believes. Okay, so she's saying informed as in like someone told her that Madix knew about it. But she's saying as early as the fall. And then she's saying in the winter of that same year that she scolded her for doing that. So how did she find out? I don't understand. So she's saying I'm pretty damn sure she would, even if she's gonna play the part, pretend that everything's cool, save it for the show. Pretty sure she would have said something to her, so she probably would have, I would think, pretty head on when she knew about it. So I'm not sure that I'm buying this. You know what I mean? But anyways, at the time, Vanderpump Rules was facing an uncertain future. Interest among the public had waned, and the plot had grown stale. Madix, in particular, was reportedly on the chopping block. In the absence of a sticky new storyline, there's every reason to believe Vanderpump Rules would have been cancelled. Madix was as aware of these pressures as Sandoval, and both were heavily invested financially and reputationally in the show remaining on the air. By extension, if their relationship was already on the rocks, and if Sandoval was intent on brazenly carrying out an illicit affair with another cast member, they had every incentive to leverage these salacious threads into the storyline Vanderpump Rules so desperately needed. That is precisely what happened in a series of otherwise unlikely events. Why would Sandoval do that in a storyline knowing that people would probably be angry at him. Unless Madix, who knows, maybe they were all on the know, and maybe Madix said she would be okay with it, and maybe she flipped the script on them to get revenge. I don't know, but that's that sounds really out there. So, anyways, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this lawsuit. So, Sandoval and Madix record and distribute illicit videos of Leviss. On or about March 1st, 2023, Sandoval was performing with his cover band at Tom Tom in West Hollywood when his phone purportedly fell from his pocket and slid, unlocked or otherwise, fully accessible into the crowd. It was reportedly retrieved by an attendee and handed over to Madix, who searched it and found sexually explicit videos of Leviss. Leviss is informed and believes, and on such information and belief alleges, that the explicit videos were recorded by Sandoval without her knowledge or consent in or around February 2023. The two videos Leviss had seen depict her in a state of undress and masturbating. However, given Sandoval's apparent practice of secretly recording their video calls, Leviss has every reason to assume there are additional illicit videos and or photographs of her that she has not yet seen. Okay, Leviss is informed and believes, and on such information and belief alleges, that Madix obtained at least 2 illicit videos of Leviss and distributed them and or showed them to others without Leviss's knowledge or consent. At a minimum, Madix circulated the illicit videos to herself and Leviss, which I guess is true, because I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Madix did admit to that. She also immediately informed production about what she had found. In addition, many other individuals have demonstrated intimate familiarity with their contents, leading Leviss to believe the circle of recipients is wider. Not necessarily, because Ariana Madix did mention it, like, she said that she found the video, it was her, like, masturbating, whatever. So, it could potentially be that she's, like, telling people about it. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that she showed them it. She could just be, like, especially when you're angry, like, I found it, like, imagine if that is you, and that's your best friend, and you find that video. You're damn straight that you're gonna tell people about it. Like, oh my god, what the fuck? I found a video of this bitch on my my 9-year boyfriend's phone, and she's fucking shoving a fucking vibrator up her fucking hoo-ha. The fuck? You know? Especially if you were doing something, like, really weird, you know? Like, she was shoving, like, a double-ended dildo up her butthole or something. Who knows how weird it was? Who knows what? But I don't necessarily think that describing it is, like, wrong. I mean, if she showed them, that's not cool, you know, without your consent. But just because they know, like, I mean, you're masturbating. Well, how much detail can there really be? A masturbation video is like a masturbation video, you know? What are you going to be, like, a guided monologue about it? Like, guided voiceover? Like, I don't know. I could see her describing, or at least, like, the gist of it. I mean, what really is there to really say? But I don't think that means that she physically showed them. I mean, it's a crazy story. I probably would yap about it too, you know? Anyways, let's move on. Leviss battered after Madix steals and sends illicit videos. On the night of March 1st, Leviss was in New York with another cast member, Sheena Shea, taping Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. Having finished filming, Leviss and Shea were at a bar when Leviss received a text from Madix. "You are dead to me." Alongside the message were the 2 videos of Leviss that Madix had purportedly discovered on Sandoval's phone. Leviss experienced a swirl of emotions in response, including shock and fear. Shock, because she did not know that Sandoval had recorded pornographic videos of her. Fear, because these videos were now in the hands of someone who hated her guts and was out for blood. She was terrified Madix would leak them on the internet. Reacting to the revelation in apparent shock and anger, Shay violently assaulted Leviss, shoving her aggressively into a brick wall, punching her in the face, and throwing her phone into the street. The blow to Leviss's face caused a rupture above her left eyebrow and severe swelling and bruising above her left eye. Leviss was told by a treating physician that her busted brow would permanently scar. Shaken, Leviss flew home the next day and informed her family of what was happening. Wow. Sheena Shay, a real one. Wow. Was there like more to it or something? Because wow, or does she just really ride that hard for Madix? Wow, she's a real one. So if I put myself in Raquel's shoes, I definitely do think it would probably be like traumatic, like especially if what she's saying is true and that it was just like a FaceTime and that she didn't know he was recording it. He did it without her consent. And then she didn't know that there was like, permanent, she probably, if that is true what she's saying, she just thought it was a FaceTime and then that was it. If it was recorded without her consent and she didn't know, and then it was sent to her, A, not knowing that it was ever recorded, and B, by basically the guy's girlfriend who you were fucking behind her back, who was your best friend, those things could be scary or shocking or, a little bit traumatizing. So it's definitely not okay for someone to record something sexual without your consent. And I do think her technically sending it to herself as well could open up a can of worms. So, well, I guess it has, because now it raises the question of who else could she have sent it to, whatever. So, from my understanding, Madix says that was it. She deleted the videos after. It was just a way for her to show as proof that she knew about it. But now that unfortunately has opened up this whole can of worms, because of course it is never, regardless of what somebody did, revenge porn is not okay, even though you're angry, I don't think that's okay. But I guess now it's the issue of, is that what happened? Was it just that one thing, to show her like the proof, to scare her? I guess, yeah, the plot thickens. Okay. Bravo and Evolution capitalize on Scandoval and cover up defendants' illegal acts. News of the affair and aftermath, dubbed Scandoval, broke on March 3rd, 2023, when TMZ first reported on the affair. This initial reporting was quickly followed by a torrent of follow-up stories. By March 4th, tabloids had already begun reporting on the pornographic videos of Leviss, citing unnamed sources. Well, if that is part of the story of how she found out, and it's a reality TV show, to be honest, if that was the case, even if you're not on a reality show, are you kidding me? I think, whether right, wrong, whatever, I think the average person, if they were in Ariana Madix's shoes, and if that is how she found out, by going through his phone, it wasn't like she found, texts. She found actual videos of you masturbating on his phone. That's traumatic for her as well, because you didn't find by emails, texts, which is generally the traditional manner. You found out by actual videos of her masturbating. So of course that would be traumatizing, and if that is the way that you found out, that's going to be a part of the story that you repeat, right? If you think about it, when people tell their story of I found my partner cheating, it's generally I looked through his phone records or something, or I looked through his phone and I found texts or emails, whatever. If that is part of the story of how she found out, it makes sense that she would refer to that. And I think an average person would tell that if that was part of their story of how they found out, because that's their story. They have a right to tell their story. And she's on a reality show, so even more so, she's going to kind of talk about those things. And you should have known that's on you. If you behave that way and you didn't think that if she found out that she wouldn't drag you through the mud or that it wouldn't be talked about, you know, that's on you. Sorry, but even in a normal, like, not like a normie, whatever you want to call it, like that, you would be dragged through the mud if you were in the same circle of friends or imagine on a reality show, TV show. Like, let's be so fucking real. Okay. Although filming for season 10 had already wrapped, Bravo and Evolution had a camera crew ready to shoot the next day. Well, apparently it was Ariana that called them, which, yeah, she wants to tell her story, you know? I don't blame her. And she probably wants to get in front of it. And before, you know, you guys probably could paint your narrative, so I don't blame her. Anyways, Scandoval captured the public's attention in a massive way, went completely viral, and injected new life into Vanderpump Rules. It also caused mayhem in Leviss's life, culminating in months-long inpatient treatment at a mental health facility and her departure from the show. Fomented, whatever that means, by Bravo and Evolution in conjunction with the cast, Leviss was subjected to a public skewering with little precedent. Little precedent? What do you mean, like as in little reasoning? Oh, God. This woman is so unlikable. And became, without exaggeration, one of the most hated women in America. And you're not doing yourself any favors. On March 4th, 2023, the day after news of the affair had broken, production directed Leviss to film with Sandoval at her Los Angeles apartment. With cameras rolling, Leviss confronted Sandoval for secretly recording pornographic videos of her and storing them unprotected on his phone. Sandoval had not only invaded her privacy and breached her trust, but had also left her enormously vulnerable to a nightmare scenario of the videos leaking on the internet. Sandoval responded to Leviss's fury with cowardice and lies, claiming falsely that he had obtained permission to record her. Seeing that Leviss was having none of it, however, Sandoval ultimately offered a reluctant admission and a sheepish apology. Sandoval was clearly rattled. After filming ended, an erratic and unsettled Sandoval refused to leave Leviss's apartment in spite of her request. Okay, side note, I watched, the show, and I did see him, at her apartment, but if anything, I saw her being more like, oh, I love you, and da-da-da-da, so I'm sure they could have edited or cut some things out, but by no means was it giving that she wanted him to leave or anything like that, which, like I said, they could have edited, but it's certainly not adding up to that. But again, they could have edited. Okay, moving on. Leviss was forced to have her sister and brother-in-law pick her up and drive her to their home. That day, Leviss retained an attorney to mitigate the risk of the illicit videos leaking. Once at her sister's home, Leviss turned off her phone for 2 days, hoping the heat would die down. However, media reports suggest Sandoval was in a panic over the on-camera confrontation with Leviss. Specifically, he was concerned that being accused of recording non-consensual pornography would paint him in a negative light. Sandoval reportedly threatened to cease all further filming for the show unless he was granted editing rights over the scene. Filming already had basically ceased at that point, though. It was like the show was over, and then like it was wrapped, I guess, for the season, and then Ariana told them what happened, and then they kind of briefly picked up filming again. So also, there's contracts in place as well. So I find it, when have you ever heard of, he's not a producer, of him having the editing rights over over something like unless you're a producer, he's in a contract, I'm sure, essentially like the filming had already wrapped for the season, and he had that talk, like, you know, like where Ariana called him out and yelled at him, like, after finding out. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, it could have been edited because, you know, he was in business with Lisa, or who knows, but that part is not quite adding up to me. But anyways, let's move on. Shockingly, Bravo and Evolution obliged his demand. The scene was selectively edited to omit any mention of Sandoval's illicit recording or Leviss's lack of consent. I don't know, I feel like Bravo has shown or discussed, I mean, let's be so fucking for real, so many Bravo cast members, especially Real Housewives and stuff like that, have been involved in lawsuits, and they have no issue talking about it, calling people out. They probably force other cast members to call them out. So, I mean, I guess if it makes, Sandoval kind of was in business with Lisa Vanderpump, so, and she's either producer or executive producer, so that could be it. But I don't know. Okay, anyways, let's carry on. This was a pattern and practice of Bravo and Evolution throwing Leviss under the bus in favor of Sandoval. Girl, bye. You both were under the bus. Like, everyone was mad at both of you. What do you mean? What? The victim? I can't. Recording someone engaged in sex acts without their consent is a crime, and Sandoval appears to have admitted to it on camera. Portraying the confrontation as it actually occurred, instead of protecting a sleazy Sandoval, would not only have been truthful, it would have been good television, but Bravo and Evolution had apparently decided that Leviss would be their sacrificial lamb. Throughout the ordeal, they have sanitized the story to ensure Leviss would be seen as the arch-villain. But Madix has always said that she sent the video to herself, she sent it to you, and she's always kind of been vocal about that, or owned that, I'm pretty sure, in her, like, retelling of it. So I'm not quite sure what she means. And if that in fact is the case, and he did admit to that on camera, couldn't she subpoena them to force them to produce that video? Or couldn't she, like, subpoena one of, like, say, the production members or whoever, like, was there on the scene filming it? Couldn't she subpoena them and do, like, a deposition of some kind to make them admit to that they were there and they heard that, or force them to produce this portion of the video? So it'll be interesting to see where that leads. But if that in fact is true, then she could subpoena and force them to either produce that video, and if for whatever reason it has, you know, disappeared, she could subpoena or depose the whoever the cast members are that were there, or whatever the case may be. So we'll be interesting to see where that goes. On March 7th, Leviss's attorneys sent out cease and desist letters to the cast regarding the distribution of the non-consensual illicit videos. The letters promptly leaked. Leviss also filed a police report and applied for a temporary restraining order against Shay, the cast member who had assaulted her on March 1st. So, did she have proof that they were distributing it, or, like, was this just, like, a just in case? And she filed a police report, temporary restraining order. Okay. This happened March 7th. Despite initially bragging about having punched Leviss, Shay began to adamantly deny it in public. She accused Leviss of lying and abusing the court system. This was in spite of Shane's own private and televised admissions of guilt and Leviss's visible facial injuries. By March 10th, Leviss had decided to check herself into a mental health facility. Sandoval, for his part, tried to talk her out of it and begged her to participate in the reunion. Leviss reluctantly agreed to wait on the condition that a mental health professional be on set in case things got out of hand, given her fragile mental state and the fury brewing among the cast. Bravo agreed and then changed its mind. I mean, I don't know. I, let's just carry on. Leviss then requested her publicist and confidant, Juliet Harris, be permitted to attend. Bravo agreed, then again changed its mind. By that point, the reunion was the next day, too soon for Leviss to pull out. And also, contractually, you're obligated to attend. And she had no reasonable alternative but to participate. She also feared the legal implications of refusing to appear, given the draconian terms of her contract, and so she did so, but without the support she felt she needed, and that Bravo had previously offered to provide. At the same time, press coverage was slanted decidedly against Leviss, who became an object of scorn and ridicule. Girl, also, what does that have to, they can't control what the media is saying, and also, can you blame the media? Like, you're a douche for that. Anyways, other cast members were vilifying her in interviews and waging a public campaign against her on social media. They could not have done so without the blessing of Bravo, which pre-approves all cast media appearances and exercises tight control over public messaging. Bravo had clearly decided this feeding frenzy was good for ratings. Various cast members and Bravo itself also released their own Scandoval merchandise to cash in on the explosion of interest, including an I Survived Scandoval long-sleeved t-shirt currently available for sale on Bravo's website. It is clear that Bravo deliberately sacrificed Leviss for the sake of its commercial interests, from its refusal to allow her the opportunity to tell her side of the story and defend herself, which she repeatedly begged for permission to do. Girl, I seem to recall from my memory, like, that you kind of were not wanting to, and you had your time or place, at the reunion, and you just kind of sat. I mean, I get that it's scary, everyone is against you, but you didn't say much there, and then you didn't choose to come back, which would be like a good opportunity for you to tell your side of the story, If, in your mind, it sounds like you are the victim, then you could have used that as a time to say your part of the story. However, perhaps you didn't do that with them around because you know that, this is just where my mind is going, like, unless it's, like, not true or you're leaving parts out. But I find that saying that sacrificed you is wild. Anyways, without exception, her pleas fell on deaf. Also, yeah, I'm sure if you asked them to have a yap session, I highly doubt that they wouldn't allow you to yap. Are you kidding me? They probably would have ate that shit up for breakfast. Yap away, sis. Yap away. Anyways, as a result of this asymmetrical coverage, the public was not made aware of the extent to which Leviss was victimized by the ordeal or the toll it was taking on her mental state. What about the toll it's taking on Ariana's mental state? How about that? As the feeding frenzy reached a crescendo, Leviss was subjected to a gag order prohibiting her from discussing Sandoval's gross invasion of her privacy, Madix's vengeful response, Bravo's cover-up, or the veracity of her allegations of physical assault against Shay, who was publicly calling her a liar, accusing her of playing the victim, and being falsely backed up by others. In sum, while the rest of the cast savaged Leviss's reputation and lied about her in the press, drumming up not only interest in Vanderpump Rules, but also hatred of her, Leviss herself was involuntarily silent, muzzled by Bravo for the sake of its ratings. While all of this may have been good for ratings, it was catastrophic for Leviss, the human being who was forced into hiding and subjected to death threats directed at her and her family. Sandoval, on the other hand, received a development deal from Bravo for a job well done, along with the pay raise. Andy Cohen exploits Leviss's fragile mental state. As expected, the reunion was a train wreck for Leviss of epic proportions. With full knowledge of her then dire mental state, Bravo and Andy Cohen took no steps to mitigate Leviss's abuse, even as Cohen himself expressed concern about her mental health going into the reunion. One fellow cast member, Katie Maloney, had been openly threatening to light her on fire, Another Shay had violently assaulted her. During the reunion itself, Leviss was on the receiving end of unrelenting missives. Diabolical, demented, subhuman, a poo-poo head, fuck yourself with the fucking cheese grater, you fucking suck, you're disgusting, and I wish nothing but the fucking worst shit that could ever happen to a person on you. As she was berated, abused, and dehumanized by the rest of the cast, above all Madix. I mean, can you blame her? I don't know. She's mad. I mean, anyway. Leviss remained largely silent and stoic in apparent shock. Cohen later remarked glibly that he did not know how long she would last on set, and chalked up her apparent stoicism to being really medicated. But Cohen and Bravo already knew that Leviss was indeed medicated, something neither surprising nor remotely funny in light of what was happening to her. Bravo and Evolution sabotaged Leviss's recovery. By the time of the reunion, Leviss was utterly battered, physically and mentally, and shortly thereafter checked into mental health treatment facility and remained there for 3 months. Even in treatment, however, Leviss could not escape from the claws of Bravo and Evolution. She was warned repeatedly by them not to breach her confidentiality obligations, which contained no exceptions for medical treatment or therapy. As a result, Leviss was fearful of facing legal repercussions for her honesty and was forced to walk on eggshells. This caused her extreme stress and severely stunted her progress in treatment. There's also such a thing as patient-doctor confidentiality. I mean, that's not to say that maybe some of them would be shady or whatever, but I mean, there's doctor-patient confidentiality, especially if you're only talking to one and you knew, I don't know, but anyways, not important. Unfortunately, that did nothing to stop the vitriol. When Leviss checked into treatment, she gave her dog, Graham, to her parents for safekeeping. Graham was traumatized by years of abuse at the hands of Kennedy, and it was not an easy dog to manage. After a number of incidents, including one in which he bit Leviss's mom down to the bone and caused her permanent bone damage or nerve damage, keeping Graham became untenable. Leviss's family handed him over to a no-kill rescue organization and requested its discretion, given the intense public scrutiny of Leviss. Instead of rehoming Graham as promised, the rescue organization, knowing full well that Kennedy had a history of animal abuse, contacted Lisa Vanderpump, who gave Graham back to Kennedy. All of them, with Bravo's blessing, then seeded a false and malicious narrative that Leviss had tried to get the dog put down. At around this time, rumors were circulating, also seeded by Bravo and the cast, that Leviss was actually on vacation and had faked her hospitalization. Illustrating the depths of its moral turpitude, Bravo refused to publicly acknowledge that Leviss was, in fact, in inpatient mental health treatment, presumably for fear such disclosure would undermine the storyline. Were they even filming at that time? I don't even know if they were filming, or were they? I don't know. Anyway, not only would they not do so, they prohibited Leviss through her publicist from doing so. All of this caused even more public scorn of Leviss, further unjustified harm to her reputation, and increased threats to her and her family's safety. In short, Leviss has been battered and broken irrevocably in service of a salacious storyline. I don't know. It's just, I mean, two things can be true at once, but all I'm getting is victim, and how, don't look at Ariana or anything like that. I'm the one that's suffering, and people hate me. Oh wait, there's a saying called, or wait, what is it? You hate me, so I'm the victim, something, I don't know, something like that. It's just, I don't know, it's just not making her seem any of course, yeah, like I said, two things can be true at once, but it's just pushing this narrative that I'm a battered, broken woman or something, and in at least in reference to the situation of, you know, the public not liking her or whatever, like, if she was battered physically in another, well, I guess there was that one situation. I don't know. I guess I'll have to follow to really, but it's just, I don't know. It just makes, if anything, it's so much to the opposite side that it's actually making me go towards the other side, like towards Ariana, you know what I mean? It's like with anything else in life, when you push too hard, it's almost like repels, you get the opposite effect. When she's like, I'm the victim, it makes you feel even more so that way towards Ariana, which I believe is the one that must be truly suffering this even more, because it's like, not only was it, you know, she thought obviously she was going to marry him, be with him, or she's not really a marrier, but you know what I mean, be with him forever, 9 years together, owned a fabulous mansion together, worked together, same group of friends, 9 years, had an affair for like 7 maybe plus months with her best friend. I think that reads like she's more so the one suffering. It's just like, everyone hates me, I'm suffering. Well, I mean, what you did was really fucked up. So, I mean, there's consequences for actions, and people would be more likely to, you know, let's say like her allegations are true, but if she took more ownership of what she did, and saying like, I totally understand why people hated on me, I deserved it, however, what I did not deserve is revenge corn or whatever, then it would be a little bit easier to kind of, you know, empathize. But I don't know. Let's carry on. However, it was here we go again. It was abundantly clear that they completely failed to understand or appreciate the toll that Scandoval had taken on her. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That must be so difficult for you. She should have taken a page out of, what is it, Jordan Woods' playbook. Jordan Woods, which was, you know, best friends with Kylie Jenner, and she may or may not have hooked up with Tristan Thompson, or she admits that they at least kissed or something, but she went on a round table thing, she talked about it, she took ownership for her, at least in some type of way, and she didn't by any means victimize herself, and it kind of changed the narrative on her. She should have tried to maybe skew that way, but I'm sure that it took a heavy toll on Ariana too. Anyways, moving on. They warned her, unironically, that she must return to avoid having her story told by others, and you didn't, and look how that played out, and reaffirmed her prohibition against speaking to the press on her own terms. But the depths of her mistreatment in season 10 went far beyond what is acceptable even in reality television, and Leviss knew that returning to the show meant risking a descent back into the depths of despair from which she had just emerged. Meanwhile, everybody else got what they wanted. Vanderpump Rules remains on the air, continuing to milk the storyline Leviss catalyzed. Sandoval emerged with a significantly higher pay and a development deal with Bravo. Madix has become a bona fide darling of pop culture, has a new boyfriend, and is starring on Broadway. For Leviss, the future is less rosy. She brings this suit to vindicate her legal rights, if not to restore her sullied reputation. I don't know about that girl. Okay. So, first cause of action, eavesdropping. So she's accusing them of eavesdropping. So, hold on. Leviss Sandoval engaged numerous private and confidential video conference from 22 to 2023. Unbeknownst to Leviss, Sandoval recorded their communications. She objectively had a reasonable expectation that these communications were private and that they were not being recorded. At no point prior was she informed that Sandoval was recording them, nor did he obtain her consent. So she thinks that some of them depict her in a state of undress and engage in sex acts. So accordingly, Sandoval has violated California Penal Code and privacy rights. As a result, she has been injured by having her privacy invaded. She seeks all available remedies. She believes she's entitled to punitive damages in an amount to be determined at trial. Second cause of action, she alleges revenge porn against Madix. Okay. So it says here, on or about March 1st, 2023, Madix discovered sexually explicit videos of Leviss on Sandoval's mobile phone. And that they depict her in a state of undress and engaged in a sexual act. Sandoval recorded the videos without knowledge or consent of Leviss, who had reasonable expectation of privacy. So she believes that Madix obtained the videos of herself from Sandoval's mobile phone without Sandoval's authorization. Leviss is informed and believes that she obtained the videos of herself that Madix obtained the videos of her from his cell phone and distributed and disseminated them to others, including but not limited to Madix herself, Leviss, and other individuals whose identities are not currently known to Leviss. Okay. Leviss is informed and believed that she displayed the videos or disclosed their contents to individuals who may not have received them directly, including but not limited to Bravo, Evolution, members of the Vanderpump Rules cast. I don't know if disclosing their contents is necessarily revenge porn in itself. I think I would have to look it up, but I feel like it's more so about distribution, not like describing what, but I could be wrong. I'm sure it'll come up in time with this lawsuit. Leviss was not aware that such illicit videos were captured, thus could not have consented. Madix distributed, disseminated, shared, and publicized. What do you mean by publicizing, talking about it? Because she didn't, make them, or publicly share them, at least not to my knowledge. I mean, I don't, by talking about it publicly, I mean, sucks to suck, I guess. I don't know why, maybe don't do those kinds of things, you work in, like I said, or I've already kind of went over, you work in a reality TV show, and whatever you do is gonna be publicized, and maybe in her mind, she's like, hey, if this, shitty thing happened to me, at least maybe I can, get something out of it, yap, and maybe get some, gigs out of it or something. I don't know. Well, good on her anyway, but I think that's kind of, I don't know why you thought it was okay I don't know. It's never okay to do, but I don't know why, especially in a reality TV show setting, that you thought that if you were caught, it wouldn't have some kind of negative kickback. Ugh. Leviss has suffered grave emotional, psychological, financial, and reputational harm as a result of Madix's distribution, dissemination, and publicization of the illicit videos. The illicit videos were recorded when Leviss is in a private residence where Leviss's reasonable expectation of privacy was at its end. Oh, okay, so one thing that came to my mind. Okay, so let's say that is in fact true, that Sandoval recorded it without her knowledge. Couldn't you argue then that that Ariana would have assumed that it was by consent or something like that? Or I don't know. I mean, because I highly doubt that would have been the first thing that came to her mind. She would probably assume that it was a consensual recording or consensual whatever. That would have been the assumption, I think. However, it still opens up the can of worms that she sent it to herself. And if I'm not incorrect, she sent it, the video from Sandoval's phone to her own phone, and then from her phone sent it to Raquel. So that does open up. But anyways, yeah, I digress. As a direct and proximate result of Madix's actions, Leviss has suffered and will continue to suffer general and special damages alleged herein in an amount to be proven at trial. Leviss is informed and believes, and on such information and belief, alleges that in performing the acts herein alleged, Madix acted with oppression, fraud. What do you mean by, are you accusing her of, like, what, AI generating the video, or what? What do you mean by fraud? Okay. And malice, or alternatively, that Madix acted in such conscious disregard of Leviss's right to privacy that, as a direct and proximate result of her collective and individual acts, Leviss is entitled to punitive damages in an amount to be determined at trial to punish her. Third cause of action, invasion of privacy. Sandoval invaded Leviss's privacy by secretly recording private communications, capturing sexually explicit footage without her knowledge or consent, and that he should have known she had a reasonable expectation of privacy, and that she could not have consented, and his invasion of her privacy was offensive and objectionable. Madix invaded Leviss's privacy by obtaining the illegally recorded sexually explicit footage of her without authorization and distributing, disseminating, and publicizing it. Madix knew or should have known Leviss had reasonable expectation of privacy and that she never consented to it. It was offensive. And she's saying that Sandoval Madix acted with oppression, fraud, and malice. I'm still not getting fraud. That's weird. Okay. Fraud is like someone's like full of shit, making something up. So I'm not quite sure where the fraud is coming from. But anyway, intentional infliction of emotional distress. They acted in... Both Sandoval and Madix engaged in extreme and outrageous conduct that transcended bounds of human decency. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Ariana like countersued or something and just like was like, I don't know, girl. I mean, like, of course, like I said, two things can be true, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, let's see where this goes, and let's see if she's got receipts about this. I want to try to have an open mind, at least to start with. Two things can be true. Both of them could have been assholes. I don't know. Let's carry on. Leviss has suffered emotional distress, including severe emotional distress, physical manifestations of emotional distress, anxiety, shock, embarrassment, loss of self-esteem, disgrace, humiliation, powerlessness, sleeplessness, and loss of enjoyment of life. Leviss's severe emotional distress prevents her from performing daily activities and obtaining the full enjoyment of life. You know, like this, the same kind of things that she's saying is like kind of the things that people in personal injury cases, right? It's kind of interesting, like personal injury, especially like I work in like motor vehicle accidents, and it's kind of like the same kind of language. Let's see. Leviss has been, will continue to be damaged in an amount to be proven at trial. Emotional distress, anxiety, pain, fear. And one thing that they do, I work in like, what's it called? Motor vehicle stuff, like suing the insurance, or I've worked for both sides, like for the insurance side and the plaintiff side. A lot of times they say that you should sue for, because it's hard to, while it's hard to prove mental health things, it's also difficult to disprove. So a lot of times what they say is like, go to your doctor or go see a counselor, and if there's shade, well, of course, I'm not saying that it could not be true. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of instances where it is true, but there also are instances where shady, ambulance chaser firms will say, make sure you go to your family doctor, counselor, whatever, and keep over time saying that you're having nightmares, anxiety, depression, you want to off yourself, whatever. Or, sorry, I know that's a little rude way to put it, but because if you have lots of documentation saying that you are suffering from that, it's difficult. Like, how can someone get into your mind and say you don't have anxiety? You know what I mean? So it's something that's difficult to prove, and it's something that's difficult to disprove. So let's see. Leviss is informed. Acted in conscious disregard of Leviss's right to privacy, entitled to punitive damages. So she's asking for compensatory damages and other special, general, and consequential damages according to proof. For temporary and permanent injunctive relief, ordering defendants to cease distribution of illegally obtained recordings of plaintiff, including those depicting her intimate body parts or engaging in sexual acts, and ordering the destruction, deletion of all electronic and physical copies of said recordings in their possession, custody, or control. I thought she said she was... I don't know. So, did they... I don't know. I'm sure... Okay, well, I guess let's see where this goes. Anyways, civil penalties pursuant to statute, award of punitive or exemplary damages, attorney's fees, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So, I think, yeah, we've reached the end. So, yeah, I'm down. We can make a series and follow this case and see what happens. But, yeah, I definitely think it would be in her best interest if she just... Oh, well, actually, okay, now my legal mind is rolling. It actually would make her a lot more likable or easy to side with if she said that part of the emotional distress that she was, experiencing was also in part due to guilt, and that she, cares about Ariana, she feels very guilty, and then, the fact of having to cover it up, or like she feels just bad or feels guilty, that would make it a lot easier for people to, kind of go with her. And if anything, I think she would have more success if it was almost like her owning up to her part in all of this, apologizing, and if anything, almost siding with Ariana to kind of like team up and go against him like he's the jerk. But that's kind of like a strategy that this is the first thing I'm reading about this, but just off the top of my head, that's already, and of course I just want to start off by saying I'm nobody's lawyer. I'm not your lawyer. I'm not my own lawyer. That's just my opinion. This is not legal advice, and just my opinion, I don't know. So it'll be interesting to follow this and see like what happens, and if she has proof to back up what she's saying. Yeah, I don't know. Comment down below what you guys think. Have you watched the show? Do you like the show? Whose side are you on? Do you think that Raquel is completely full of it? Or do you think that, yeah, both things can be true? I don't know. What are you guys thinking? Like, do you have any empathy for her? Do you think she's completely full of it? Are you Team Ariana, Team Sandoval, Team Raquel, Team Nobody? I don't know. Let me know what you think. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.